Hello, everyone. I'm Devi Jags, and this is Sparkle On. Sparkle is your happiness, passion, and self worth, and nothing can ever dim your light. Today, I have Nicole Zimmermann, who is a trauma informed integral somatic healer and breathwork facilitator. I met her in my little neighborhood, Woodland Hills, here in Los Angeles, and she was leading a breathwork meditation at this studio called Embody Through You. It's this yoga studio that has helped me a lot in the last few months. And I mean, Nicole, you don't even know this, but your meditation brought me to tears. And I'm excited to kind of go into that more because I think what ignited in me during that meditation was a lot of like what we're going to talk about today. But thank you for joining the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I'm excited to hear more about your experience.
So, Nicole, can you start by telling us what even is a somatic healer?
So, yeah, what is somatic healing? It's really just this like returning to the body. We live in a culture that's more mind driven than ever, and people are very much in their heads and very much like focused on the future and the past and the next thing that they have to do. And because of this, we've become very disconnected from the body, and it's very important to be connected to the body because our body keeps a score. Our body holds on to everything. Our bodies hold on to all of our emotions, all of our memories, all of our experiences, all the energies. And if we don't take the time to return to the body, then we get sick. Yeah. Whether that be mentally sick or physically sick or spiritually sick. So somatic work is really just returning to the body and remembering how to feel and remembering how to express and just remembering like who you are underneath all of the layers of noise. And there's so many different forms that somatic work can like be used in healing work. My main thing, as you know, is breath work. And yeah, breath work is, I kind of like to call it an active meditation, right? There's like passive meditation where you just sit and you're quiet and you kind of like acknowledge your thoughts. And then breath work is a more active meditation, and it really just allows you to go deep into the body and kind of quiet the mind and just notice what's happening in the body. And so that's like the main type of somatic work that I do is working with the breath, and I do a little bit of parts work too, and IFS. I'm not sure if you've heard of IFS.
No, I haven't. You can go into it though. I'm kind of curious.
It's like new for me. So IFS, it's internal family systems. It's basically this theory that like we are comprised of different parts and different ages. Mm-hmm. So the parts are, I think it's the firefighters, the protective parts, the exiles, and like the higher self. And a lot of these parts of ourselves were developed in childhood. And so those are like the exiles or okay, I need to start over.
You're good.
I don't think I want to talk about IFS.
That's fine. We can cut it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but I need to look into that because it sounds very interesting.
It's really cool. Yeah. I just like, I don't know how to fully like articulate it right now.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, so I noticed that in like a lot of somatic healing and tips and stuff, it always references kind of this inner child. And you've talked about this, right? Where you entered the modeling industry, which is a very, very intense industry where you kind of were suppressing a lot of the things that light you up today. Can you kind of speak to the notion of like what it felt like to try to fit in and be cool at that age and what that was like entering that journey as a model?
Yeah, definitely. So I started modeling around 19 years old. It's a huge part of my journey, and although it was very traumatic, I'm really grateful. Mm-hmm. I love the motto that our pain is our purpose, and I think everything that I went through like allows me to show up as the compassionate leader that I am today. So I just want to preface it by saying that I'm very grateful for that journey. I think women are very conditioned from a very young age to believe that we have to look a certain way and act a certain way and dress a certain way and be a certain weight in order to be loved and in order to be chosen and in order to appease the male gaze. So I think like even before entering the modeling industry, like I already had all of those that like collective trauma living in my body. I also grew up in a household where I had an absent father, and there was like lots of chaos in my household. And so from a really young age, I just learned to disconnect from my body and like that it wasn't safe to be in my body, that it was like too chaotic to be in my body. So I just learned to like escape and turn to external ways to make myself feel okay. And so then when I got scouted to be a model, when I got scouted when I was like 14, but I just like didn't care at that age. I was I was just like a baby, and I'm really grateful that I didn't start at that age. But I got scouted when I was like 19 again, and it was so validating to me for someone to be like, we want to pay you to be pretty.
Yeah. I'm sure.
And so, as I said, like I already entered the modeling industry kind of with like this predisposition for just like external validation, for this need for external validation, and also an eating disorder. Like that's something that I struggled with for most of my life. I think since the age of like 10 or 11, I always was, just like looking at the magazines and like wishing my boobs were bigger, like wishing I was skinnier and like all these things. And so when I entered the modeling industry, they actually told me that I had to lose weight in order to like sign with this agency. And so I did, because like there was nothing like cooler to me than being a model. So I did what they told me to do, and I lost a lot of weight and I've always been like naturally like a kind of petite person, and it was just like not good. So my eating disorder amplified like times 100. But I started working a lot, and I was booking big campaigns. This was in New York, by the way. I know we're in LA right now, but I started my journey in New York. I grew up in New York. So really bad eating disorder. And just like the further I got into the modeling industry, the more I disconnected from myself. Like I was always just really sensitive and like always kind of a healer at heart.
Right.
And I always wanted to help people, but being in this industry just like really disconnected me from that part of myself. And I was just so focused on what my face looked like and what my body looked like. And just like trying to please my modeling agent, who like nothing was ever enough, you know? And so, it got really bad. I had a really bad eating disorder. I had to go to outpatient, and yet like I still chose to do it for 10 years of my life. I was in the modeling industry, and it's like, I think sometimes we can become so addicted to our own suffering. And like I really just like thought that that's how I deserved to feel all the time, was just like disconnected from myself, tired as fuck because like I wasn't eating. Just like, and the modeling industry in itself is just like very chaotic, very unpredictable, very like things happening last minute. And like as a sensitive being, like that was always really hard for me. And everyone was like, oh, just develop a thicker skin, like just get used to the rejection. And I just never could. Like it was really hard. And I did have some really like cool experiences as a model, like definitely. Like I met some of my best friends like in the modeling industry, and I think it really helped me to realize that like I don't have to follow the traditional 9-to-5 path. Like since the time I graduated college, like I've never had a normal job, because I went from graduating college, I got my degree in psychology, which is like funny because I'm kind of like, I'm not using it today, but like in this more like indirect way. And yeah, so I started modeling right after college, and it just taught me that like I don't have to like do the normal 9 to 5 corporate thing. And yeah, so it was beautiful and also really hard. And I was just like so disconnected from myself. And I think it's honestly like a huge reason why I'm doing the work that I'm doing today. Like, I think a lot of healers and therapists and people that are helping other people because they've gone
Right.
through their own darkness.
Yeah.
But yeah, it got so bad. Like, and I also like addiction is a huge part of my story too. And I mean, it just makes sense that like while I was in the modeling industry and I was so disconnected and like so seeking external validation, that like I was also like using drugs and alcohol as a way to like try to like escape the pain of what I was feeling and escape the pain of like just being so disconnected from my soul. And so in 2017, everything kind of like came to a head, and I was just like, I cannot keep doing this. Like, it got to a point where I was like, I just like don't want to live anymore. And on the outside, like, you know, I had like tons of Instagram followers, and like I was going to all these cool parties, and I was like, just on the outside, my life looked really good, but on the inside, I was just like a shell.
And I think, like, you know, it's not uncommon to hear really, really dark stories about the modeling industry. But I do wonder, as like, you know, it seemed like you've always been this creative, artistic person. I mean, you started at 19, you were still recruited at 14, right? Was there any part of you that did love certain aspects of being a model outside of like the validation part? Or was it always kind of you were just going with these motions of what was being presented in front of you?
Yeah, no, there were aspects that I did like about being in the modeling industry. Like I said, like I met some really cool people in the modeling industry, like many people that are still in my life today. And actually there's many people that have like kind of like followed the same path as me, that have like been through the entertainment industry and are now kind of like stepping into the work that I'm doing. So that's my best friend, actually my best friend of 9 years. I moved to LA 9 years ago, and I met her immediately. We were both models, and we've like both kind of like followed this like similar trajectory.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, it is funny. And also just like being around creative energy, because like modeling, and I mean, maybe not actually like modeling isn't, I mean, it is an art form though. I think, yeah, there were a lot of shoots that I went on that were like, I just like felt like in my full expression. And, you know, like the creative direction and the makeup and the styling, like, yeah, it just introduced me to, yeah, this kind of like artistic way of life. And I started shooting photography myself, like when I was in the modeling industry. And yeah, I've always been really into art. And so I think it did feed like a certain part of my soul. It was just kind of like everything surrounding it that just like was not serving me. But yeah.
Did you ever feel like the moments that you loved modeling, where you were, you know, taking your own pictures and things like that, did it ever feel like part of the job that you were in, or did it feel like a pull to something else?
What do you mean by that?
Like, sometimes I wonder, as artists, like, we get so caught up in doing our expression in one medium, but then it's like how I describe like sparkle is like this little like glimmer of light in a dark period that has its good periods, like, don't get me wrong, but the answer to like the direction that we're supposed to go just kind of feels like this light tug. I know I felt that way with, like, you know, when I was a competitive runner, it was like, of course there were some amazing moments with it. I can similarly say the same thing around.
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure there's a lot of
Yeah.
similarities in
Yeah.
both the industries. Yeah.
but the darkness around like the eating disorders and,
Yeah.
you know, the sports politics and things like that, it's just like, I think some of my best moments were rooted in the moments that I would go home and like write about running. And so I'm kind of curious if through your work, if you've noticed like sometimes it is really just like that guiding path that leads you to what you're doing now.
Yeah, it absolutely has been the guiding path that has led me to where I am now. Again, I
Mm.
think like the biggest aspect was, yeah, like the creativity and like realizing that like I don't have to like fit into the matrix or like fit
Yeah.
into to I mean in some ways I was like doing what society wanted of me,
Right.
but in other ways I kind of was like following this really non-traditional path, and it did awaken so much creativity in me now, and like what I do now like really asks me to be creative on a daily basis. So yeah, it was definitely like a really important part of my path, and yeah, there were little glimmers in there for sure.
Like what?
What were the glimmers in there? I guess yeah, like a huge part of modeling is traveling,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to like travel to some really amazing places, and I feel like that really like expanded my mind and just like connected me to my love for travel and adventure. And I'm trying to think of like how it led me to the healing path. I really think like, yeah, I like in the moment, like I didn't like while I was actually like in the thick of modeling, like I didn't see this obviously because I had no idea like what my future would hold. But like
Mm-hmm.
looking back, I'm like a lot of the clients that I started working with directly after, I kind of made this transition into coaching and to facilitator. A lot of my clients had like eating disorders and were also like actors or models or in the entertainment industry. And I was really just able to like deeply connect with these women
Mm-hmm.
because I had been through that, and I like knew how like I was there. And I
Right.
think that's really important. Like when you're helping someone with something is like knowing what it's like to like be where they are, you
Right.
know? So yeah.
And you described this breaking point that kind of ignited the reason that you went into healing work. Would you say like that realization was more mind reaction first, or was it like a body reaction that you were like that you knew you needed to do something else?
It was all of it, honestly. It was just like, I'll be really vulnerable right now. So, yeah, it was around 2017, and um, I had just like finished a stint in London. I was in London for work, and it was the winter, and London in the winter. I love London, but London in the winter was very depressing for
Yeah.
me. And my like yeah, my dependency on alcohol was at an all-time high. I was like waking up in the morning and just like drinking like by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I like wasn't eating. Like I just was like so miserable. I
Mm-hmm.
was so miserable. And then I came back home, and oh my God, it was like I was just like, because I was vibrating at such a low frequency, I was just attracting so many bad situations into my life. There was this is crazy. There was a point when, okay, so my car, it didn't get totaled, but I got in a car accident.
Oh my
This is like
gosh.
right when I got back from London. I got into a car accident, which was my fault. And my car was in the shop. So my insurance company like gave me a rental car.
Mm-hmm.
I had the car parked, like I was out in West Hollywood. The car was parked on the side of the road. I came back to my car at like 2 a.m. and it was totaled, the rental car. And then I got another rental car. Somebody backed up into that rental car. And then I got another rental car and somebody sideswiped it.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah, and I know that's like not really like directed to it, but I feel like when we're not like living our truth and when we're really like disconnected from ourselves and just like feeding ourselves with all of this really like negative energy, that our external realities reflect that. And so there was just so much that was happening. And then I got a DUI. And that was really
Yeah.
like my breaking point. That was like when I was like, I mean, I already was at my breaking point, and I had already been trying to get sober for a while and like looking into other things that I could do for work.
Right.
But I got a DUI, and that just was like a wake up call for me and really a blessing in disguise. I think a lot of times these seemingly dark things that happen to us, or these breaking points or these rock bottoms are actually just an opening for a new chapter. And I fully believe that now. Like every time life throws something at me, like even though it feels like really sticky and really challenging, like I trust what's on the other side. So that happened, and yeah, I was just like, I cannot keep living like this anymore. And I remember my mom has been such a big support on my journey. And I remember like such a specific and clear moment. We were sitting at the airport, and it was after I got my DUI. And she drove me to the airport, and she was like, Nikki, like you can either choose life or death. And, metaphorically speaking, right? Because when I was choosing death, like I was choosing like death of my soul, death of my authenticity, death of my purpose, death of my joy. And it just like stuck. There's just like sometimes these little like moments in life, or these little like things that people say to you that just stick with you so much. And I remember sitting on the plane just being like, wow, like I want to choose life again.
Yeah.
I want to be alive again. Like I want to choose joy again. Like I can't keep living this slow death, And so I got back to LA, and I decided to start going to AA, which I no longer really resonate with, but it was really helpful for the time in my life that I needed it. And that was in 2017, which is almost 10 years ago. It's really crazy how fast time flies.
Yeah.
And then I actually got into a relationship with somebody who was also sober. And he was like a huge angel in my life. And he like took care of me throughout the first couple of years of my sobriety. And then in 2020, during the pandemic, I was working with a coach. And this when I was just like, and I was still kind of modeling like here and there. Like I was sober, but like I was still modeling because it was still kind of my way to like feed myself and make money. And I just like I didn't even like believe in the possibility that something else could be out there for me. I just had like such low self-worth from like years of being in the modeling industry, and just like, so I started working with a coach, like a life coach. She also was a model at one point. And this is what I mean when I say like, it's nice to like work with people that have been through the same journey as you. And she just like really invited me into deeper self-worth and into this notion that like there are other options out there for you. Like you don't have to like stay stuck in your suffering. You don't have to stay stuck in the chaos. And so this is when I started like investing in all of these coaching programs, and I invested in my breathwork facilitator training program, and I started like coaching people and taking people through breathwork journeys. And like, I was like, fuck, this is it. I was like, this is like what's been missing in my life. It's sacred service. And so, from there, it's like, it's really just been an evolution of growing that as my business and doing work that lights me up like as my full time. And just like, it's really beautiful because like now I'm at a place in my business where like it is my full time, and like it's very abundant. And right now I'm actually creating a program for people to also be breathwork facilitators. And I'm just like so excited about it because I just know how impactful that facilitator training was for me, because it was like the first time I was invited into the fact that like I can be of service, and like I can like make a career doing this. I can make a career doing something that actually feels good, which was unlike what I felt in the modeling industry, So
No, I mean, I've seen you post about the program, and I think like it's awesome that people have more opportunities, I think now more than ever, with virtual options and stuff like that, to find healing modalities that they can share with others. But I guess I am also curious, was like, I think a lot of people talk about like, okay, I'm on the mission to be aligned with my career, with what I'm doing. Like they all need to line up, but no one really ever talks about what it means to feel alignment with something and like discover what that is, right? So like you said, you were working with a coach that kind of inspired you because of like the similar backgrounds, but like Do you ever get people that join your facilitation program and they realize like, okay, breathwork facilitation is not for me, and like they still are on this like constant journey to find like that spark, right? Can you speak more to that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And this is actually my first cohort. So, and I don't start till October. So like, I
Yeah.
can't say that I've had
Right.
that happen before. However, like being in the space that I'm in now, and like, I've kind of been like surrounded by, you know, or just in the healing space for 5 years now. And so I'm surrounded by a lot of people and a lot of clients too, that I see like, yeah, like it doesn't always happen on the first try, you know? I think, and I don't think there's any, I really don't, yeah, I really like to invite in this notion of like letting go of right or wrong or good or bad, and like releasing like the labels and the judgments, and just like, if something is calling to you, then fucking try it. And maybe it won't work, but like, it's better to like explore and try. And in that trying and in that like showing up for yourself, you're just gonna keep being guided closer and closer, because the universe responds to that.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think in my breathwork facilitator program, like there was probably like 100 people in it. And I think there's only like a handful of people that are actually out there teaching breathwork. So while I can't actually speak to that, like being my truth, yeah, I think that it's just beautiful to like try what you're feeling called to. And like even in a lot of these programs, like it's not like you leave like learning nothing, right?
Right, of course.
Yeah, and my program specifically is based a lot around like doing healing work on ourselves before we can actually go out there and hold space for others. So if somebody just leaves with some tools that they can use to help themselves and help themselves breathe a little deeper, then I think that's a win. And I've definitely gone through some trainings and had some coaches and gone through some programs where like I haven't felt like a full like fuck yes, like this is what I want to do, but it's all been like so divine, and it's all just like led me to where I am today. So yeah, and I don't know if I answered that question like in the right way. Okay.
No. I guess also to have more of an understanding. So like, what does breath work? Because I just go because I like that studio. Like I get very good vibes.
Yeah, they have good vibes there.
You honestly, and I don't mean like this to any other breathwork facilitators, but like you were the only one that I felt capable of doing the exercises with, because well, I have asthma, but like
Oh wow.
yeah. So like other like workshops that I've attended, they're very exhausting. Like they're overwhelming. I can't usually get the deep enough breaths that they're usually asking us to do. Which is weird because I am very active. I had a running background and things like that. So it's like I've never really been taught to understand how it's supposed to bring up emotions and stuff like they say that it might until your session. So can you go into more about like the methodology behind breath work and what it is supposed to do?
Yeah, great question. And yeah, props to you for having asthma and still showing up. I think it's actually good for people with asthma, because it's just like the breath is the original medicine. I mean, our breath is medicine. And I think so many people like just are not aware of that, like not aware of the fact that like just even taking like 5 deep breaths, how that can completely shift your physiology, how like that can bring your nervous system from a state of survival into a state of safety. Like the breath is literally everything. And if you think about it, it makes sense, right? Because like your breath it's the reason that you're alive. Like it is your life. So if you can bring more awareness and intention to the breath, then you bring more intention and awareness to your life.
Right.
And what was the question you just asked me? So what is breathwork supposed to do? So there's nothing that breathwork is supposed to do. Breathwork can bring up so many different responses in so many different people. But breathwork is a bridge from the conscious thinking mind into the body. And this is just like full circle moment back to like, what is somatic work? It like breathwork really allows you to get out of the head and into the body, which is really hard for a lot of people to do in today's day and age. You know, there's so much stimuli. There's so much going on outside of us. There's so many things to think about. There's social media. There's just like, like there's just a lot. So it can be really hard to actually get into the body. And I think even with like just normal meditation too, which is a really beautiful tool that I personally love. But for some people, it can be really hard to just like sit and meditate and be quiet.
Right.
I think breath work is like a really fast way to get into that deeply meditative state in the body. And yeah, the breath is, like I said, it's a bridge from the conscious into the subconscious, and the subconscious is the body. This is like your soma. It holds, it stores all of your memories, all of your emotions. And I just want to like speak a little bit about emotions too. You said you felt emotions and the session brought you to tears. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I see that happening like so frequently.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's because our emotions are stored in our tissues. Like they are stored in our body. And because we are so in our minds, like we don't often feel our emotions. And when we don't feel our emotions and they get stuck in our body, they later on manifest as dis-ease or addiction or depression or anxiety. Like all of that stuff that we're not actually allowing ourselves to feel and process, it doesn't go anywhere. It just gets stuck deep down in our tissues. And that's why so many people are struggling in today's day and age. That's why like so many people are like addicted and depressed and struggling from mental illness. It's just like the repression of all this stuff in the body. And so what I hope that breathwork does for people, and it can happen in so many different ways, but my intention always as like guiding a breathwork journey is to just help people get into the body and to like notice what's happening in the body. Our bodies are these really like vastly wise and intelligent creatures that like there's all of these systems happening in our body that are happening without us thinking about them at all. And our bodies are always working to keep us alive. And so there's so much intelligence in the body and our bodies are always communicating with us, but we've forgotten how to listen. And so with breath work, we're really like invited to like listen to like what's going on in the body and hopefully like to clear out some of the toxins and some of the repressed emotions and some of the like stuck energy. And so the reason why so many people feel emotional during breath work is because your breath is taking you into those pockets of your body where you are storing emotion and it's bringing it up and it's actually allowing you to feel it. And my first time I did breath work was in 2017. This was like also, it was in 2018. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, but like it was sometime around the time when I first got sober. And, the reason I drank and modeled and did all of these things for so many years is because when I was a child, I created this story that it's not safe to be in my body because there was so much chaos. I was like, I have to escape. And so I spent my entire life escaping up until the point in 2017 when I did my first breathwork journey. It was at this women's retreat in Mount Shasta. I swear to God, like it felt like the first time I was feeling my emotions in like my entire life. And I was like screaming. I was like thinking about my parents. I was crying. I was moving. Like there was so much moving through me. And it was the first time in my life where I actually like remembered that it is safe to be in my body. Like we don't have to escape our bodies. Like we feel something intense and we automatically like go on our phones and scroll it away, or we drink it away, or we eat it away. Like, but we have the capacity to actually feel those emotions. We're a lot stronger and more capable and more resilient than we give ourselves credit for. And like sometimes like the most healing thing you can do is like if you're feeling anger or if you're feeling sadness is to just sit in it.
Yeah, I think like I'm starting to understand that now. And a little bit because of your session, right? Like it wasn't like when I had that release of like a bunch of tears, it wasn't complete sadness. It was like a little bit, right? But it was, you know, I've recently come off Prozac because I found out it was making me lose my hair. I've talked about it a couple of times in this podcast. It's kind of embarrassing.
Wow.
But,
Congratulations. That's big.
Thanks. But there has been, oh my God, I can't even, like, there's been so much rage, like more than like,
fuck yeah.
Like it's just been like, oh, am I unhinged? Like, am I okay? And it's like, no, I'm not. But it's also kind of extraordinary that I can get that mad. Like I don't want to be a mad, negative person, but like sometimes it really is, that's what it is. And like to be able, I had a psychiatrist tell me one time, he's like, isn't it actually amazing that we can feel this sad and this happy in this lifetime? He's like, isn't that what this is all about?
Yeah.
And I was like, a psychiatrist told me this? What?
I love that psychiatrist.
I do too. I do too. And that was something that stuck with me. Like you mentioned that before.
Yeah.
But I think like one of the things that you talked about in that session specifically was you were encouraging us through the breath work to think about that younger girl and what you would be telling her now or what you would be showing her now. And that's kind of what made me, I don't want to say lose it, but like really realize that no matter how much, because at that week, I think there was just a lot of stuff out of place. Like, you know, just things were not going well with the business. And I was feeling such imposter syndrome with my writing, with who I was as a creator. And I was like, during that thing, I was like, oh my God, Devi, like you would be so proud of yourself right now. And I kind of just like, I'm getting a little teary-eyed talking about it, is like, I am curious, like how has breath work informed who you are as like a musician, a poet, all the creative being that you are today?
Yeah, that's a great question. And thanks for sharing that about the inner child. That's like one of my favorite lines to drop in a breathwork session. And I just want to like go back before I answer this question. I want to just go back and touch on your rage and the fact that like you're able to feel rage now. I think that's so beautiful. And I think there's a difference between like being a negative person and also just like letting yourself feel human emotions. I always say that like, I believe, first of all, our souls are so brave for coming to this earth and like choosing to be in a human body. I think it's like the bravest thing we can do because being a human is not easy. It's not easy to like have a heart that feels and a brain that thinks. And yeah, it's just like, it's not an easy experience. But I do fully believe that our souls came into these human bodies so that they could feel, because feeling is so beautiful. It's so beautiful and it's so important. And I think actually if we don't allow ourselves to feel, then we end up becoming negative people because it's just all this stored emotion. So like if you feel rage, like sometimes something I take my clients through is like a sacred rage ritual where I'll just have them like scream into a pillow and I'll put on like a heavy metal song and just like release all of that stuff in their body. We need
that playlist.
I know. Let's do it right now. And so, yeah, I think that's so beautiful. And yeah, sometimes during breath work, like we might be like crying or we might be like, there might be like a movement happening in our body or we might just be like experiencing something and we might not know why. I think a lot of people will be crying and they'll be like, wait, why did I cry? Like, I didn't feel sadness, like what you said. But it's just literally like, it's like the analogy I like to use is like wringing out the sponge. Like when we do breath work, it's just like our bodies are like these little sponges and they pick up on so much. And breath work is kind of just a way to like wring out the sponge and just clear out like whatever that is. And it might be really emotional and it might not be emotional because sometimes the body releases in just like these physical ways. And so breath work is like, it's not supposed to look a certain way or like it can literally be so many things. And circling back to your question of how has breath work informed my like artistry and yeah, because like I was telling you this before, I was like, I'm not a musician, but I guess at this point, like I kind of am. I've written some songs, I play the guitar, I write a lot of poetry. I am kind of like a full-time content creator at this point, and that might sound cringe to some of you guys, but like it really is like creative for me to like make content.
It's today's like, you know, painting. It's so much. And
exactly. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, breathwork just allowed me, like I said, like it connected me to my feeling body, like for the first time in my entire life. And I don't think that like we can create art if we're disconnected from our feeling body. I think that like breathwork has just allowed me to just work through so many of those layers that were like keeping me disconnected from myself. And now I'm actually able to access my heart and access my soul, which is where my creativity comes from. And I think we can create from the mind, but I don't think it gets us very far, you know? Like, I think.
Can you elaborate more on that? That's very interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, like I mean, to me personally, like I don't want to say that like you can't create from the mind. I think that's like a very like kind of intense statement, but
I
like
think it's one of the best statements ever said. That's why I'm very curious about it.
yeah, I just think that like for me at least personally, I'll just speak for myself, like my best work, like my best words, my best songs, my best like forms of expression come through when I'm just like not in my mind, like when I'm not in my head, when I'm not like overthinking, like is this needs to be perfect, it needs to sound a certain way, it needs to look a certain way, like because I think like that like for me, like it makes me procrastinate. Like when I'm in my head, it like brings up this perfectionism. It's just really when I like create space to like really connect to my heart and my soul that like it's like I think we are all, and I don't know what your religious affiliation is. Like I don't have like a specific religious affiliation, but I think we're all vessels for source or creator or the universe to work through. And I think when we are thinking so much, like we're getting in the way of whatever that intelligence is that is beyond us to like really work through us. It's like this life is a co-creative dance with the creator. I like fully believe that. And so when
That was beautiful.
and so when we're in our heads, like I think that like we just don't like there's not the space that's created for creator to work through us and for like whatever that song is or that poem or that like writing that wants to flow through us. It's like it's flow state, right? And when we're in flow state, like we're not in our heads. And even when I'm facilitating breath work, like I used to like show up with a script and like be like, I have to like say this thing or do that thing. And like, it was just, like people could tell, you know, that I'm like reading from a script. And like now when I go in, I just like take a few deep breaths. I like ask God or creator, whatever is out there to like work through me. And everything that I say, just like it comes from something that is not me.
Well, I think that's actually like in my own experience, that is why content creation is extremely frustrating.
I know, because it's so hard to not be in the head.
Because you are fixating on whatever the algorithm has put into place, and it pushes back against that flow state where it doesn't mean that your words don't matter or that they can't extend across audiences. There is real power in it. But I think artists have been getting really stuck, especially women, because of all the stuff that exists on the internet.
I know.
Yeah. No, I get it. But I think to what you're saying, that's why it's more important than ever to maintain like this artist bubble so that you can have the different mediums, whether it's the poetry or the guitar or like whatever it is, to keep that flow state going.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, to your point of content creation, like for me, like content creation, like yes, it is creative. And I also like notice that I'm like so in my head when I'm creating content. And so I just like create pockets in the day for myself to be able to like create from a space when I'm not doing it for anyone else. You know, like in the morning, I do my morning pages and sometimes a poem flows out or like maybe the start of a song will flow out.
Morning pages because of Artist Way.
Yes.
I think every single episode from here on out, I will be talking about this book. I just talked about the last one.
My roommate is starting an Artist's Way like book club.
So I'm part of one too.
I feel like there's so many Artist's Way book clubs. I love it.
It's like it's got this like resurgence because of the 30th edition, and then like Doechii talking about it in her Grammy speech. Like I think there needs to be like a massive like collective of LA, like just like women encouraging each other to complete the Artist Way.
Yeah, I agree. I literally like created my business in 2020 from doing the morning pages.
That's crazy.
Yeah. No, it's really powerful. And it's also powerful too. Like what I love the most about the Artist Way and morning pages and creating, it's just like a devotional practice of like creating space each day for creation.
Yeah.
Is it really helps you to work through perfectionism because like for me, especially as women, like we go through 4 different cycles every month. Like we're, yeah. And so sometimes like our work isn't the best, but it's like good to just show up like no matter what, to just like show the fuck up for your creative practice, even if nothing comes out but like 3 words, and to just like build that muscle of creating.
Yeah.
No matter how you're feeling. And then like on some days, like there is going to be something really beautiful that flows through, you know?
Cause it's a muscle.
It's a muscle. Yes, yeah. Exactly.
And it like, I think that's where even like my own like running background has played such a role in understanding who I am as a creative. Like before, like I understood menstrual cycle awareness or anything like that. Like I just thought that I had these spurts because of whatever reason, or that like I was pissed off about some person, like back when I was like in college and writing, it was like because of some boy. And it was like there were so many things that were like, you know, making me like fired up about stuff. But now, in order to find that voice and keep it the way of like my own narrative, I have to keep running. I have to keep practicing that muscle. And I think breath work is a really powerful tool to enhance that creativity. But
it really, because it gets you out of your head.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, like that's why breathwork is like, I mean, I would recommend like, yeah, anyone like trying to get into flow state or whatever, to just like, even if you don't do an actual like breathwork session, to just like connect to your breath and get into your body. And your body is the channel for creator to work through. So when you can get in your body, then that magic stuff can just like flow through.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I feel like I'm just tapping into this new curiosity, and I've learned so much too. And it does, like you said, it helps when you know someone who's gone through similar things, but that has like taken this tool and has just made it like kind of part of your sparkle. So
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
all right, sparkle on.
Yeah.